Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Hey, it's Leif Gamfert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldovar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Rory Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have actress Haven Pascal, who is best known as the voice of Serena, Jesse's Pumpkaboo, and Gourgeist, me at Slurpup, Sawyer Slurpup, Swirlix, Concordia, Ellie, and Florence in Pokemon, and Bloom in Rick's Club. Haven, how are you?
Hi.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you join us on the podcast today.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you. So getting right into my questions for you, Haven, my first question is, how did you decide you wanted to become an actress?
I never really decided. Acting is something that I always wanted to do. My dad was an actor. My mother was a performer as well. I grew up in Los Angeles, and all of our friends and family were in the business in one respect. A lot of them did voiceover work, and I did a lot of that as a kid, and so did my brother. When I turned 16, I wanted to start auditioning, and my dad helped me find an agent that he was comfortable with, and I started auditioning for film and TV, and did pretty well up until the point when I was 19, and I booked my first musical and went on tour with Rent, and have basically been performing in musicals and stuff ever since then. And about 4 years ago, with my introduction to Pokemon and the people over at DuArt started working in voiceover, and everything's kind of blossomed from there. But doing voice acting is something that's always been a passion of mine, and it's a version of the craft that I would like to continue working in as long as I possibly can, for a multitude of reasons. But one is that I just really love the craft of it, and the work that you get to do, the freedom that you have in the booth. It's a lot of fun. So it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I just feel really blessed and have a lot of gratitude that I get to do it every day.
Yeah, it's really interesting with both how you got into acting itself and then voice acting, of course, which is very different, but, those differences, make it special in its own way. If you had to choose, and this is a tricky question, which would be your preference towards stage or voiceover if you had to pick?
At this stage in my life, I'm really enjoying voice acting for so many different reasons. One, because it's only 4 years in, and it feels very new to me, and so every time that I get to go do something in the booth, it's very exciting and it's a lot of fun, and I'm learning new things about the business every day and different ways to manipulate my voice. It also gives me a lot of freedom. I can be seen outside the box. I'm not, just because of the tone in my voice doesn't mean that I can only play one type of character, which is something that's so exciting about Pokemon, and that I get to play lots of different types of characters. Whereas stage, your physical appearance and the tone of your voice and the quality of your singing voice have a lot to do with the types of characters that you get to play, and so there's not as much freedom or as versatility. So at the moment, I would say that I prefer to do voice acting which I can also do in my pajamas and with no makeup. So that's fun too.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation. It's not the last bit. It's not the first thing that would have come to mind, but yeah, it's a very good explanation in any case. Yeah.
It's true. I have a little boy. I have a family too, and so doing 8 shows a week and doing Broadway shows is hard to do if you want to extend your family, because I'm responsible for being pregnant and carrying the child, which is difficult to do with 8 shows a week or in a musical and fitting into costumes and such. But with voiceover, it gives me an easier opportunity to think about, having another baby in the future and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a really in-depth explanation. So thank you for that. What I was actually thinking was really funny. When you started answering that originally, you said at this stage in your life, and I'm like, if she says stage, that's a really terrible pun right there.
I know, isn't it hilarious?
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that. I was kind of keeping my fingers crossed, hoping you would make that pun, because I like puns, but yeah, I just had to point out. Yeah, that's good. Who doesn't? Unless they're overdone, in which case, they're not good then. Anyway.
Yeah.
Before we turn this into a punny conversation, let's turn it into a conversation about another thing beginning with the word P, which is Pokemon, of course, as you mentioned. Yeah, and Serena, and all of the other characters, which we'll get to. So that brings me to my next question, and that question I'm going to pose is, how were you originally cast in Pokemon?
I have a couple of friends through theater that had worked with Duart and Pokemon and a couple of the other projects that they had, video games and such. So a girlfriend of mine sent my name over, and I came into audition. They were doing these group, all calls, but you go in and you get in a booth and you read a couple of different types of scripts and a couple different types of characters, like a little girl that was a pig, I think was one of them, and some sort of warrior goddess woman in a video game, and just kind of run the gambit of voices that you can do, little boys and stuff like that. And then about a week later, I got called in, or maybe it was longer. A couple weeks later, I got called in by Pokemon to do Ellie, the little girl whose grandfather has the farm, and did that. I was very excited. I thought it was an audition, but they just called me in to do it, and then it went on from there. I auditioned for Serena about 6 months later, I believe. It's 6 months after I had recorded the episode with Ellie.
It's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. Did you say one of the voices they got you to do was a girl that sounded like a pig or something?
Yeah, it was like a lot of cartoons are like animals and stuff, so it was like a little girl that was also a pig. She's like a little pig, so I had to squeal and wink and stuff. It was cute.
It's interesting. It reminds me of voice actor Dee Bradley Baker, who was for so long it was primarily known for voicing creatures or animals. So it's really interesting. A girl that sounds like a pig. I'm trying to picture that. Maybe you can help me picture that.
I'm trying to. It was so long. I mean, it was about 4 years ago. So I remember that it was a pig, but I don't remember what I did at the time, because a lot of the time you just you read the script or you read the description. Sometimes they have a little picture of what they look like. I think her name was Rosemary or something. She was like, "Oh, I so," something like that. "Oh, you're so cute," things like that.
It's a really appropriate name for a pig.
Rosemary, isn't it adorable?
It is, yeah. It's definitely really amusing. I can see what they were going for.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a really interesting background to how you started in Pokemon. So, moving on to my third question, and I apologize in advance, Haven, because the next few Pokemon questions are going to be quite long-winded. And
yes, I see.
you're probably going to hate me afterwards.
Oh, I doubt it.
Thanks. That's actually very reassuring. So, my next question. You joined the cast of Pokemon in its 16th season, the final season of the Best Wishes series, where you voiced Ellie, as you mentioned. But it was the XY series that gave you your most prominent role in Pokemon with Serena. What do you remember being told about the character of Serena when you were originally cast in the role?
Well, when I auditioned, it was the pilot of the season. So the scene that I auditioned with, we did the mouth flap to animation, and it was she was waking up and being called by her mom, and the little bird came and pecked at my face, and then I threw something and had to do a react, and then it was trying on different hats. I remember one of the descriptions that they gave me was that she was unsure of her past, that she got along with her mom, but she was a typical preteen girl, that she if her mom told her that she liked that hat, she would usually go with the opposite, and that her mother, who was a Rhyhorn trainer, she didn't really know if she wanted to go into it, even though her mom was kind of pressuring her to do it. So she was just finding her path, and then that there was probably some kind of tie to Ash, but they didn't really tell me at the time what that was, but I was having kind of flashbacks about him, and that eventually we would meet up and I'd be one of the sidekicks, which was really exciting. And I immediately liked Serena. I thought that she was really funny, and I could relate to her a lot from when I was a kid and my relationship with my mom. I didn't leave the house when I was 14 and run off with a bunch of kids and camp in the woods, but I certainly could relate to having that love-hate relationship with your mom, and yeah, that's what I remember of them telling me. Clothes too much, especially for the auditions, and even when I booked the role, it was you really just kind of get information one episode at a time. Every once in a while, they have a couple of episodes that you do, so you get to record more than one and see the story unfold a little bit faster, which is really fun. But yeah, I had no idea that Serena would have the character arc that she's kind of grown into. It's been really fun to watch it happen.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, a lot of fans have really enjoyed seeing Serena's character develop, and it's interesting because from what you said, it sounds like you didn't even know originally of Serena's specific connection to Ash. You just knew that she knew Ash in some way, beforehand, but not actually, the specifics, which we didn't even find out until 7 episodes in, so...
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting as well because you mentioned that one of the scenes that you auditioned for or read for originally was from the opening episode, and then you mentioned the hat scene, and I remember that scene vividly, and that was in episode 3, so that's actually interesting. Yeah. Poor episode 2 got left out.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fairness, though, episode 2 is where all of the Serena details started coming in at first, so it makes sense that wasn't in the audition. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Well, I think that to protect the story and from protecting anything from leaking, which is, clearly a huge priority for the company, they don't give too much information, even out to the actors,
Yeah, of course. Much like any company really these days, basically.
So that's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't think of any companies in the industry now that would give away so many details. Yeah. So moving on to my next long-winded question. Like I said, you're definitely going to hate me after this one. It really is long. No, actually, you only really need to remember the end of it anyway, so actually that's okay. Yeah. So Serena is a very unique companion in many ways. She is the first companion to have a confirmed crush on Ash. She's the first companion to meet Ash as a younger child prior to traveling with him. She's the first female companion that Ash directly asks to join him on his travels, and she's the first female companion to change her appearance in the series in which she is a main character, because when characters like May and Dawn returned, that was like in a later series when they had their designs changed. That's just a background. That's just a background check for some of the listeners in case. So what you need to know, disregarding all of that, is how does it feel knowing that Serena has become a fan favorite character, and have you enjoyed developing her character over the XY series so far?
Yeah, for the first part of the question, it's so exciting to know that people like Serena as much as I do, because I have really, really, really enjoyed watching her character develop and watching her change. I thought her transformation was awesome, and I think it's exciting to show a female character that has her own mission and her own path also. I think that it's a lot of fun for young girls to see a girl who's, even though she's on this journey with Ash, she has her own intention and her own journey that she's doing that's separate from everybody else. And yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm really looking forward to going to my first SuperCon, Florida SuperCon, in a couple weeks. I'm already seeing a couple of tweets of people getting their Serena costumes ready, and I'm excited to go to a convention and see everyone dressed up as Serena. It's a really very surreal experience for me, and I couldn't be happier about it. It's really cool.
It's got to be a little bit freaky though, just thinking that you're going to see some people dressed as your character very soon.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of people dressing up and having a good time, and it's, it's all just in fun, and, why not? We need more fun in the world.
And exactly, and coming from your stage background, of course, because you have to dress up in a lot of different costumes for stage work, so, obviously it makes a lot of sense why you think it's great that people dress up in costumes.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's it's a way of just it's a way of escaping the ordinary, and I've always loved dressing up in costumes. My son loves dressing up in costumes, and right now he's really into the Hulk. So he's got his Hulk costume and runs around punching walls and stuff. I think it's just a lot of fun, and I think it's great that adults continue to dress up and be creative, and that they're making their own costumes. I think is wonderful, and I'm really excited to go and take pictures of people dressed up as Serena. I think it's going to be rad.
That's really great that your kid dresses up as the Incredible Hulk. Has he started saying Hulk? Has he started saying Hulk smash yet?
No, not yet. He's actually never even seen any of he hasn't seen a cartoon, a movie, or the old TV show with the Hulk, but he loves the costume.
Well, that's a start,
Yeah, it's a start.
Soon enough, he'll watch the movies and cartoons and be saying Hulk smash all the time.
Oh yeah, we've got that in our future for sure.
Yeah, sure. It's actually funny now that I think about it. I'm not sure if you watch Doctor Who, but there's a joke where the current Doctor has these eyebrows that really stand out, and the Doctor Who fans nicknamed it the attack eyebrows. And I taught my baby half brother how to do those the other week.
That's hilarious.
I know. I don't even know how I pulled it off, but we just started doing it back and forth. Oh god. Yeah, that's a habit that won't die for a long time, I've just realized. Yeah. So don't teach your kid Hulk smash anytime soon, that's all I'm saying.
I won't. He's too strong for his own good already.
Yeah. Yeah, they grow up very quickly, I know that much.
They sure do.
Yeah, my baby half brother can open up doors on his own already, and he's 2 years old.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, baby talk. Not sure the listeners came for that, but maybe it was an entertaining break from Pokemon. Yeah. But of course, it's great that you're going to be attending your first convention soon, and do you imagine you'll be attending many more afterwards?
Oh, I hope so. I'd like to attend all of them. This is our last year doing Serena, and so I just want to take advantage of getting out there and doing everything that I possibly can, because it's been such a wonderful journey, and I don't think that I realized I didn't realize the scope of what I was embarking on when I got the job. I knew that Pokemon was very popular, and I knew that it was a really big show, and it had been around for, I think then it was like 16 years, 17 years. But I didn't quite get it. It didn't register until probably like last year, how big it was, and also how big the demographic is. That there's a lot of people, even in their 20s, that are still watching the show and still love the show, even in their 30s. I mean, I meet people that are Pokemon fans all the time, and I love it. So it just dawned on me. I had heard about these conventions and stuff, and that the Pokemon is now in its like 20th year, and so it's a big year for Pokemon at the convention. So I'm really excited to be a part of that, and just feel honored to be a part of any conventions that'll have me, frankly.
Of course, it's really great that so many conventions are getting on the whole spirit of the 20th anniversary, because a lot of them are having quite a few Pokemon guests.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I'm just looking for it. I'll do as many as I can for this year. I would love it.
I feel like you were slightly judging me when you said there are some 20-year-olds that still watch the show.
No, I mean, like, I ran into some on the subway. I heard them talking about Kalos, and I was like, are you guys talking about Pokemon? And they were like, yeah. I was like, how old are you guys? They were like, oh, he's 23 and I'm 26. And I was like, do you watch the show? And they were like, oh, yeah. Like, oh, okay.
You didn't tell them you voiced Serena?
No, I thought that might have been, I thought that might have been a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I feel like you're starting to think maybe I should have told them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I should have. I don't know. It's one of those things where you're not like, oh, well, if you think that's cool, I'm cooler. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, yeah, I like Pokemon too. Okay, bye.
Yeah, that actually is, that's definitely one approach to it, actually. It's very selfless, because, yeah, telling someone that you voice on the show might be seen as, arrogant, or they might not believe you, for one, so...
Especially grown-ups. There have been kids that I've met that are friends of mine who watch Pokemon, and I do have a lot of fun talking to them about voicing Pokemon. And they get a big kick out of it, and then suddenly I'm the coolest grown-up that they know. So, so that's pretty rad.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, getting back to my questions, and you did touch on it a few minutes ago, which was Serena's transformation. So, one of Serena's biggest character moments comes after her first showcase defeat, where she cuts her hair, as you mentioned. In Japanese drama, this is seen as a character wanting to make a dramatic or life-altering change. What was your view on Serena's decision to cut her hair, and how did you react when you originally read the script for the episode?
Well, I can't comment too much on the Japanese drama themes, because I'm not specifically familiar with them, but my experience in the booth and reading the thing, we had a discussion about it. Me and the director had a discussion about it before we started recording. I was so excited that because it was like all about me, so I got to do a whole bunch of cues, and I loved all of the showcases and everything, and all the stuff that Serena had gotten into, and getting her new Pokemon and all of that stuff. It was so much fun. I'm a girl, so I love all the outfit changes. But I was really excited that Serena had a moment of transition and growing up. I thought that was really, really fun. It was fun for me as an actor as well, because it gave me a lot of stuff to work on in the booth, instead of just a bunch of running reacts, which is usually what it is that's 40% of what we do, saying huh and running. But to have such a dramatic moment and your character arc was exciting. I loved it. I really hoped that the fans liked it as well. I thought it was very touching. I cried when we were doing the scene, because it was was so sad, and I've certainly. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those actor things, though, too. Like, the minute that you get to do something really juicy and meaty, it's like the best thing in the whole wide world. Your actor is really, your character is really sad and crying and depressed and wants to cut off her hair. It's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to you, because you get to emote and perform, and it's a lot of fun. Although, with Pokemon it's a little bit different, because we don't have the same freedom and the same expression, because we're matching to dub. So you still have to get all of the lines and emotion in very specific timing that's already been set. So it's, there are pros and cons to it. One, it's challenging and a lot of fun, and kind of like a game of lip syncing, trying to fit everything in, and you have to do a couple takes sometimes to make sure that you get the right read and get it in. But on the con of that is that you don't have as much emotional freedom. So most of the time we're just doing the best that we can to get all of the points in that we need to translate the script, from Japanese into English, to make sure that it reads emotionally and also that it matches the mouth flap.
Yeah, definitely.
Was that too much of an explanation?
No, it was a perfect explanation. I kept up with all of it.
Oh, good. Good.
No, I mean, I was just really enjoying that in-depth explanation about it, and and that episode, I have to admit, is actually one of my favorites from the XY series, and it was really interesting what you said about, most of the time you're just doing like simple things, and I think that's a strength in the XY series in some way, in particular over previous Pokemon shows, is that there are so many episodes that are character driven. Like, you can have a Serena focused episode at one time, then the next is Ash, then there's a Clement episode, even some Bonnie episodes, So sometimes you'll be like on the back foot, and then, Clement, back seat, I should say. Why did I say back foot? Doesn't even make sense. Like, Clement will be the star of an episode, and then you won't have to do much, but then you get your own episode, and you have so much to work with, and in particular that episode, because, there was a lot of anticipation for it, I remember, and so many people were really happy with how it was done in the end. You can't please everyone, but, the reaction to that episode was outstanding, I think, for the most part. So, yeah.
Oh, I hope so. I really enjoyed doing it, and that's the thing, is that the fans are really what make Pokemon what it is and how popular it is and why it keeps on going. And so you're right, you can't please everybody, but you can only just do your best and hope that people like it. And just be as true as you possibly can to the intention of what you're doing. And I really enjoyed the episode selfishly, I enjoy all of the Serena episodes because it gives me a lot to do, and I've really enjoyed watching her kind of grow as a character too, and as a person. And I thought it was fun that she kind of grew up a little bit. I liked her new look a lot. I thought it was so cute. And even in the writing for the scripts post her transition, I thought that Serena's whole attitude towards even Ash and the way that she competes and everything is altered, and she's a little bit more grown up, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. It really did symbolize a really big change for Serena. Even if you take the Japanese drama aspect, take that out, it's still obvious that such a altering change, and as you said, it may not be so obvious at first, but certainly her the way she reacts to the other characters is definitely different after that moment. I can definitely understand why you cried in the booth as well, because it really was such a sad scene. It almost brought me to tears, and a lot of people would say that's very near impossible. At least I think they say that about me. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, it was one of the saddest moments I've seen in TV the last few years, so you did a really good job on that scene. And overall as the character as well, but on that scene in particular, I've got to give you, congratulations on that. I was going to say props, and I thought that sounds a bit weird. I'll say congratulations.
I like
Okay, now that I think about it, congratulations sounds worse, so major props on that episode.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, moving on to my next question, and moving away from Pokemon for the moment.
Oh, sure.
And this is an interesting question. Might be a bit difficult to answer, but let's see what you can do with it. You work primarily in both voiceover and on stage. Is it difficult to transition characters in between projects? For example, if you're going straight from a voice recording to a stage rehearsal or vice versa?
No, it's not difficult to transition in characters. It's more difficult to transition characters when I'm doing different voiceover projects. So it's like most of the time, if I have Gorgeist or Pumpkaboo in the same episodes as Serena, usually we do all of Serena, and then we go back and we go and do all of the cues for Pumpkaboo or now for Gorgeist. At the beginning, Gorgeist was a difficult transition for me from Pumpkaboo to Gorgeist because they have they have really similar attacks but different voices, and so it was hard for me to come up with two different voices for the same attacks, like on the spot, because you don't really get a lot of information. So we came in one day, and it was Pumpkaboo is evolving into Gorgeist, and then it was just, now you have to record Gorgeist, so come up with a voice on the spot. So we always listen to the Japanese as a reference, and then kind of go from there with any additional notes that the producers and the directors have about what they're looking for the English dub version. So we did that, and I did like a couple takes of it, and then they liked it, and then we went on through the episode. But it was an interesting thing because with the characters, it's something that kind of gradually gets in your body, and then you don't even have to think about it. So I don't have to think about it when I do Serena or when I did Pumpkaboo or now Gorgeist. Slurpuff is actually my favorite that I get to voice. That's my favorite voice. But I don't have to think as much to transition into those. But at the beginning, it was difficult. Now I also do voiceovers for Winx Club. I voice Bloom, and I also do Kiko, her little rabbit sidekick. So sometimes when I would do Pokemon for 3 hours and then transition into Bloom for an hour and a half, that's when it took me like 5 minutes to kind of get out of Serena and into Bloom, or out of Pumpkaboo and into Kiko, or things like that. But then going into rehearsals for musicals, you're on your feet and you're just using your own voice mostly, and it's more of a physical rehearsal space, so it's just a totally different. It's just totally different. What I will say that's difficult about doing both at the same time is if you're in rehearsals, from 10 to 6 every day, and you're trying to schedule your recordings around your rehearsal schedule. Sometimes I run up in between, on my lunch hour and do 45 minutes of recording and then back to rehearsal. Your voice can get tired. Your body can get tired. You don't have time to eat lunch. But that's like the most difficult aspect of it. But frankly, when I have the opportunity of being able to do a musical or a play and also be working, doing voiceover stuff, I couldn't be happier, because it means that I'm working a lot and there's nothing in the world that I would rather be doing.
That's really great to hear from your fans. And yeah, the end. Wait, there's more questions.
Oh, yeah. Well, the end to that question.
Yeah, I know. I just had to point it out. But yeah, it's really, really interesting and a very in-depth answer to my question. So thank you very much for that.
Very long-winded.
That's a good thing. I was praising you for that.
Oh, good.
Well, no need to say I'm sorry. I like it when people talk a lot.
Yay.
It means I don't have to. I mean, the thing interviewers are always told is never talk more than the guest. So, yeah, you can talk as much as you want and I'll have to keep my mouth shut.
Well, I do talk a lot. That was always on my report card. Talk too much.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have on your report card, though. Like, I mean, that was like the last thing I had on my report card.
Oh, really?
No, like when I was in secondary school, that's ages 12 to 18 over here, I was always told he doesn't talk enough. And
Really?
I ended up in radio.
Yeah, there's nothing introvert about me at all.
Yeah. So, my final question for you, Haven, do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I'm developing a new show right now. We did an out-of-town run in Chicago this winter. It's a show called Gotta Dance. It's about a senior citizen hip-hop group that performs at halftime of an NBA game, and I play their coach. It's really fun. It's got an amazing cast. We had an amazing cast, and we'll be coming to Broadway in the spring. We start rehearsals in January. And in the meantime, I'm just doing readings and stuff in between and trying to stay busy, and also trying to enjoy my time off and really throw myself into doing voiceover, which I love so much. Other projects that I'm doing, just, right now it's just Winx and the spin-off of Winx, which is World of Winx, which I also play Bloom, and a couple of other fun little characters episode to episode. But that should be hitting Netflix soon. I know that it's season 7 of Winx has already started airing overseas, over my seas, not over your seas, I think in Italy. And it's getting a great response, and we're all really, really excited about it. It's a project that I'm really excited to be a part of, and I get to play a fairy who changes outfits and gets more magic powers. It's really fun.
So much like Serena, she gets to change outfits.
Yeah, most girls do, right? I mean, that's like what we do.
Yeah, I'm not judging
we just really
now.
like changing clothes.
Yeah. Did you say that you think I'm in Italy, by the way?
No, but aren't you in Europe?
Yeah, I'm in Europe. I just thought you said I'm in Italy or something.
No. The Winx company is from Italy, and I think it started airing in Italy, but it's not airing in the United States yet, I don't think.
That's interesting. Italy first.
Yeah, I know. I don't exactly know how the inner workings of how they make the decisions of like when it's released or whatever, but I know that it's coming to Netflix very soon. And there's like Winx Club on YouTube and stuff like that where you can see a couple of the first episodes from season 7.
That's very exciting. So we'll be sure to keep an eye out for Winx on Netflix and everything else you're working on. So before we let you go, Haven, we also have a couple of questions for you from Facebook fans of ours, of yours, I should say, but they're our followers, so it's fun, yeah. Facebook fans of yours, followers of mine. That doesn't really make. I'm just over confusing things. They're fans of yours first, mine second. There we go.
Fans of all things.
There we go. Yes, exactly.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just people who like stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I was just crushing my spirit one moment, but I think you've restored it, thankfully.
Oh, good.
So, first of all, we have a question from Florence Trask. This is an interesting one, and this is the more difficult of the two. The other one you get to be a bit selfish with, which you'll enjoy, because it's Serena related. Anyway, so Florence asked, I noticed that you voiced in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sexel. Your name appears in the credits starting in episode 81 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sexel, which otherwise is season 2, episode 32. Do you know what you voiced for Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes. It was a really long time ago, and by that I mean like 3 years ago, and I was, I had a baby, and so I don't remember the name of the character, but I remember that she was a pink-haired rock star, and I just did the song.
Well, Florence, if you want to find a picture of that character, we'd be very interested in seeing it. Yeah.
She was awesome. She was like, I don't remember. I've done a couple of other songs since then. It was really fun to go in, but it was a really crazy high rock song, and she was this like pink-haired pop star that was really cool.
I've got to watch that episode now. I'll just be able to see that character, and I'm like, that's Serena singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have a question from Kelly Bone. This is interesting and fun, her question, because earlier you said you felt it was a bit selfish that you liked the Serena episodes best. So the way I see it, Haven, is be as selfish as you want here. So Kelly's question is, which of the Serena-focused episodes is your favorite and why?
Ooh, well, Well, I think the episode where Serena cuts her hair has to be my favorite, but there's one that we've recorded that I cannot talk about that will be coming up, and that is my favorite so far. So maybe we can do a follow-up to that question after it airs.
Yeah, well, I think you can't get away with just one interview on the podcast. I mean, Allison couldn't.
Yeah, we'll do a follow-up after it airs because my favorite episode is, I think, coming up in 2 weeks, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, well, it sounds very exciting. And everyone is teasing me right now. Recently, we had another voice actor from Pokemon who's like, "Oh, my favorite character is coming up in an upcoming episode," and I'm like, "Seriously?"
I know, I hate it. I'm so sorry, but I've already spoken in depth about why I liked that other episode, so I don't want to waste any more of your precious time going in depth. But I like that one. I like all of the showcase episodes. I think it's so fun.
Definitely, and you don't have to apologize for, leaving me hanging on that because I'm used to it. So.
Oh, you know what? One of my favorite episodes was I love the first one where I meet Miette, and we had that the first episode where Serena and Miette meet and they compete in the Pokepuff competition, and there's always that like growling electric energy between them. That was voiced by a girlfriend of mine, Maggie, and we had the best time watching that episode together because we got to both voice. She voices Miette, and I voice Serena. I thought that was really fun. Plus, I loved how Miette was so like she would pick on Serena about Ash and having a crush and all of that stuff, and it was really fun. I also like any of the haunted episodes where Serena starts to scare herself and freak out and then cover her mouth and say like, "Did I say that?" It's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, that is
like everything with Serena.
Yeah, like I said, you can be selfish with that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the interaction with Miette is actually one of my highlights as well because it's always so amusing when Miette returns and you're just like, I every time Miette returns, like she's been in 3-4 episodes now, I think. I've lost track, but like every time I'm like just staring at the screen with a smirk in my face saying, Serena hasn't spoken to Ash yet, Serena hasn't spoken to Ash yet, and then Miette will do something, and I'm like, oh, that's golden.
It's so funny. I love it.
Yeah. Like in the episode a few weeks ago, I think it was a month ago probably at this point, where Miette asks Ash to go to the party as her date when Serena's going with Clement. Dance? That one, yeah. That was a
really good one.
Yeah. Serena's 3 screams in that episode were among my highlights. I'm not even going to lie. I only had my volume at 60%, which is my usual for watching those episodes. You almost burst my eardrums on those 3 occasions.
That's what we're trying to do, man.
Yeah.
Burst people's eardrums across the globe.
Yeah. You did a very good job.
It's fun when I get to scream and get really upset.
Yeah, definitely. So that's all of our questions for you today, Haven. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Thanks, Rory.
And hopefully,
it's been a pleasure being on the podcast.
Thank you. Hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
That'd be great. Hit me up anytime.
Yeah, I will, thank you. So I'll talk to you again soon then. Take care, and I hope you have a good rest of the week.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Bye.
So that was our interview with actress Haven Pascal. Yeah, I mean, Haven was a great guest, a lot of fun to talk to, and yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll get to talk to her again very soon. So yeah, of course, I just want to remind you that Pokemon XYZ airs every Saturday on Cartoon Network. So if you haven't been tuning in recently, what are you waiting for? I mean, Haven gave you as good a reason as any, right? So, time to wrap up today's show. Make sure to check out our podcast links. Check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the below email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Separatist Check out Haven Pascal on Twitter, twitter.com/HavyBird, and check out Channel 138 we broadcast live from, www.channel138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
You know, the on-camera world is really, really, really cool because, you know, you kind of get to use your own face. You know what I mean? Like, people can recognize you by, you know, your actual physical appearance, but in another way.
It feels pretty great, especially because I think Bonnie is a really awesome character. She's so smart and she's so funny. It's really a pleasure to get to laugh out loud at the stuff I'm going to get to say in the booth before I say it.